Deepfakes can cause long-lasting damage to children. While parents shouldn't minimize the harm children may suffer if they become deepfake victims, experts say they should also teach kids that they can recover from such experiences. CNN. If your child hasn't seen a deepfake of someone associated with their school, it's likely that a friend or their teacher is aware of them. Deepfakes are inauthentic images, videos, or audio recording created by artificial intelligence that appear real but have been digitally manipulated or faked. 40% of students and 29% of teachers said they were aware of the deepfake of someone associated with their school that was shared in the last school year, according to recent survey by the Center for Democracy and Technology, a non-profit that focuses on digital rights. 15% of students and 11% of teachers were aware of deepfakes of people at their school that are intimate or sexually explicit. I recently saw how deepfakes can play out in schools when I agreed to be an expert in the legal case involving a teacher accused of creating nude deepfake of his students. According to my research, when real or fake nude images of the person end up online, it can put the victim at greater risk of depression, suicide, and sexual assault. It can also make it harder for victims to date or find a job because these images could turn up when people search for them online. Yet, most students, teachers, and parents said their schools have not shared the policies and procedures with them about deepfake non-consensual intimate imagery, including 57% of high school students, 62% of secondary teachers, and 67% of parents of middle and high school students, according to a Center for Democracy and Technology survey. Instead of trying to prevent these incidents, the study found schools tended to act once they've happened. Then they focus on punishing perpetrators without providing appropriate support to the victims, the survey found. So, what are parents to do? With the schools often failing to take measures to protect the students, the parents need to talk to their kids about why they should never create or engage with intimate deepfakes. Educating kids about the harms. Even when defects are unreal, parents should discuss that their harms can be. Uh, Lindsay Riverman, a Washington, D.C. based attorney who represents victims of defects, said the technology is so sophisticated that it looks like it is my client, and the harm can be just as profound as if it was actually my client's body. Victims often experience psychological harm, including significant distress, anxiety, depression, a sense of humiliation, and helplessness. And some even report having suffered post-traumatic stress disorder. She warned. They also frequently suffer emotional and social harms. These kinds of humiliation, whether it's her body or not, can cause her to lose strength. It can damage her reputation. Lieberman said it can make her afraid to show up in online spaces, which she might need to do more to do for college applications or for her future career. Some victims wind up not being able to attend school because they are suffering so much. Victims often face financial harm, she added, because many hire companies to try to remove the content from the internet. That's why you need to teach kids not only that they shouldn't create defects, but also why they should never engage with them by sharing or linking them, liking them. In having these conversations, parents should lean into empathy by asking their kids to image how they would feel if it happened to them, said Dr. Deborah Haytner, the Chicago-based author of Growing Up in Public, Coming of Age in the Digital World. Or young people recognize that they don't want to be part of victimizing others. They don't want to be a part of making other people feel less safe. Protecting kids from becoming victims. Parents also need to educate their kids about the risk of becoming victims. I always encourage parents to delay social media and phone news for as long as possible, Lieberman said. But if your kids are on social media, you want to talk to them about privacy settings and making sure that they know every single person that they are connected with and that can see their content by sharing content privately only with people whom they've accepted or as friends or followers. Children can make it harder for strangers or people they consider untrustworthy to access photos of them that can be manipulated. When I speak to students in schools about deepfakes and other dangers they could experience on social media, I also advise them to talk offline to the people who send them friend or follow requests to confirm they are the ones who created the account. Lieberman also recommended that parents model good of cyber hygiene by being careful what they share online. She said parents should make sure kids know that if they see defects, they can come to them for help without worrying about being punished. While it's important not to minimize the harms victims experience, Haytner said that parents should also teach children that they can recover if it happens to them. We also don't want to tell girls this has happened to you. Now you're broken. You can never date. You can never move forward, she said. It's important to hate and not to treat the people who are survivors like survivors and not just the victims and give them opportunities to find the community, to move on and to recognize their own strength. Supporting victims of deepfakes, the Riverman said the parents and victims can report the incident to the police and FBI, but she also advised reaching out to non-profit for support, including the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Parents can reach out to a lawyer if they or their child are victims. And Lieberman said victims shouldn't assume they cannot afford one. Many lawyers, including Lieberman, offer free consultations, and they sometimes take contingency cases in which they are only paid if the victim gets paid by winning in just judgment or receiving money in the settlement. While schools clearly need to educate children about defects and implement policies to protect them from becoming victims, it's essential for parents to warn children about how they can protect themselves and avoid participating in this form of sexual abuse.